The sky above Silver Pine, a small town in Colorado, was clear and blue when the strange object appeared. It didn't scream or burn like a meteor. It just floated down, quiet and smooth, landing in a field near the edge of town. People came out of their houses to watch. Some held phones up, others just stared with wide eyes. The local sheriff, a man named Dan Harris, stood with his hand on his belt, not sure what to do. He had seen many things in his life, but nothing like this. A soft hum filled the air as the ship's side opened. A ramp lowered slowly, and from it stepped a tall being covered in shimmering robes. Its skin was pale blue, almost gray, and its large black eyes scanned the crowd with calm curiosity. Ambassador Vierex Thale had traveled across stars to reach Earth. He was known among his people for his patience and wisdom. He had studied thousands of species and their ways. But nothing had prepared him for humans. As he stepped forward, a group of humans approached. They smiled, waved, and one even gave a small wave with both hands. Vierex tilted his head, unsure how to respond. A woman introduced herself as Linda Harper, a teacher from the local school. She spoke clearly and kindly, offering a handshake. Vierex hesitated, then copied her movement. Her grip was firm, warm, and oddly comforting. Next to her stood Carl Dawson, a mechanic who worked at the town's only garage. He grinned widely and said, "Welcome to Earth, sir." Vierex blinked slowly. He had read about humans before arriving. They were loud, emotional, and unpredictable, but so far they seemed friendly. He followed them into a nearby building where more humans waited. They sat around a table, offered drinks, and began talking about their planet, their lives, and their history. Vierex listened carefully, noting every detail, but something odd caught his attention. During the conversation, one of the humans suddenly yawned, then another, then a third. They explained that after a long day, humans needed to stop moving and rest. They called it sleep. Vierex asked, "What happened during this time?" "We close our eyes," Linda said. "Our bodies shut down a bit, we don't move, we dream sometimes." "You become unconscious?" Vierex asked, his voice low. "Yes," Carl said. "Every night for about 8 hours. Vierex felt something stir inside him, an emotion he hadn't felt in centuries. Fear. His kind never stopped watching, never let go of awareness. To sleep was to die among his people, and yet these humans did it willingly, night after night, without fear. He looked at them again, not sure if they were brave beyond reason or truly mad. Vierex could not stop thinking about what the humans had told him. They gave up control every night. Their minds shut down. Their bodies went still. They called it sleep. But to him, it sounded like surrender. He asked more questions during the next meeting. How long did this state last? What if danger came while they were like that? Could they be harmed? Linda Harper answered patiently. She explained that sleep was natural, that all humans needed it, that even animals did it. She offered to show him. "You can watch me sleep," she said with a calm smile. Vierex felt a chill go through his body. He wasn't sure if he wanted to see it or run away. That night he followed her to a small room in her house. Soft lights glowed from the walls. There was a soft bed in the center. Linda sat on it and took off her shoes. "This is normal," she said, lying back. Vierex stood near the door, watching carefully. He scanned her with his internal sensors. Her breathing slowed. Her heart rate dropped. Her brain waves changed. Then, her eyes moved under her eyelids. She was dreaming. He stepped closer, curious and afraid at the same time. "Are you aware?" he asked softly. No answer. He waited and waited. Hours passed. She did not move. If something had come into the room, a predator, a threat, she would not have known. She would not have fought. She would not have run. To Vierex, this was unthinkable. On his world, the Zalari never lost awareness. Even rest was done in short bursts, always alert, always watching. To fall into full unconsciousness meant death. Yet, here was a human doing it willingly. He turned to Carl Dawson, who had been watching quietly. "How do you survive like this?" Virex asked. Carl shrugged. "We just do. You trust others to protect you?" "Sometimes," Carl said, "but mostly we just believe things will be okay when we wake up." Virex looked back at Linda. Peaceful, unaware, vulnerable. It was madness, and yet it was beautiful. He sent a quiet message to his ship. He needed to study this further. He needed to understand, because if humans could give up control so easily, then maybe they were not weak. Maybe they were strong in ways no other species could understand. And that scared him more than anything he had ever seen. Virex sat alone in the small room given to him. It had soft lights, a chair, and a small window that looked out to the night sky. He did not rest. He could not. His mind was filled with thoughts about what he had seen. How could an entire species give up control every day? How had they survived? So long? He reviewed the data he had collected. Brain scans, body readings, patterns of behavior. Everything pointed to one truth. Humans truly shut down every night. Their minds went quiet. Their bodies became weak. They were at the mercy of the world around them. It made no sense. On Zealer, his homeworld, even the smallest creatures stayed alert. Predators moved fast. Danger came without warning. To fall into full unconsciousness meant death. Only the young or the sick ever risked it, and even then only under guard. Yet here on Earth, humans did this willingly. Together. Every night. Virex sent a message to the Zalari High Council. His voice was calm, but his words carried fear. Humans do not remain aware. They stop thinking. They stop watching. If this is not weakness, then it must be strength hidden in madness. He paused before sending the final line. "I do not know, which is worse." The next day, he met again with Linda Harper and Carl Dawson. They brought him food and drink, unaware of his growing unease. He watched as Linda yawned again. So small. So natural. She smiled and said she had slept well. "Did you dream?" Virex asked. "Yes," she said. "I flew over mountains and talked to my old dog." "Your dog?" "Yeah. He passed away a few years back, but I still see him in dreams." Virex felt something cold inside him. Her mind created things that were not real. It built places that did not exist. It spoke to those who were gone. Was this a trick? A defense? Or simply another strange part of being human? He looked at Carl. "Do you dream too?" "Oh yeah," Carl said. "Sometimes I fly. Sometimes I'm back in school and forgot to wear pants." Virex stared at him. Carl laughed like it was nothing. Virex began to wonder. Maybe sleep was not just rest. Maybe it was something more, something dangerous. If humans could enter fake worlds so easily, how did they know what was real when they woke? He looked at them again, smiling, relaxed, unaware of what they were hiding from themselves. And for the first time since landing, Virex felt less like an ambassador and more like a guest in the home of gods or monsters. Virex had spent days watching humans sleep. He had studied their brain patterns, listened to their soft breathing, and tried to understand how they could give up control so easily. But nothing prepared him for what happened one quiet night. He was sitting near Carl Dawson in the small room where they had been talking. The lights were low. Linda Harper had already gone to bed. Carl yawned and stretched. "I think I'm going to hit the sack," he said with a grin. Virex tilted his head. "You will strike your own bed?" Carl laughed. No. It's just a saying. Means I'm going to sleep." He lay back on the couch and closed his eyes. Within minutes, his breathing slowed. His body relaxed. He was gone. Virex sat still, watching. Then, something changed. Carl's eyes moved under his eyelids. His fingers twitched. A soft sound came from his lips. Not a word, just a noise. Virex leaned closer, curious. Without thinking, he reached out, His long, thin fingers brushed against Carl's forehead. A sudden wave of energy hit him, his mind filled with images. He saw a sky made of fire, a city that floated above the clouds, a creature with many legs and no face. It spoke in colors and shapes, not words. He saw himself standing on a beach made of glass. Linda was there too, but she had no mouth. She smiled and pointed at the stars. Then Carl gasped. Virex pulled back, heart pounding. The dream was gone. But the memory of it burned in his mind. He had seen impossible things. Things no being should imagine while unconscious. He looked at Carl, who now slept peacefully again. Was this normal? Did all humans create such wild worlds in their minds? He sent a new message to the Zalari High Council. Sleep is not only rest, it is travel. Humans leave themselves behind and enter other places. I have seen it. I have felt it. He paused before sending the last line. They do not fear madness, because they live inside it every night. The next morning, Carl woke up, smiling. Had a weird one last night, he said, rubbing his eyes. I was flying again, or maybe swimming. Not sure which. Virex stared at him. How could he act so normal after visiting another world inside his own mind? He began to wonder, if humans could go anywhere while asleep, then what were they really, and more importantly, what might they wake up as? Virex could not stop thinking about what he had seen inside Carl's mind. The images, the places, the strange creatures. They were not memories. They were made up, dreamed, created from nothing while the body lay still and helpless. He began to act differently, more careful, more afraid. He stopped staying in rooms alone with sleeping humans. He watched them closely when they yawned. He studied their eyes, looking for signs that they were slipping away again. Linda noticed. You okay? She asked one morning. You look tired. Virex did not sleep. His kind did not. But now, for the first time, he felt something close to fear, not for himself, but for the humans. How could a species survive if it gave up control so often? He sent another message to the Zalari High Council. His voice was calm, but his words were urgent. Humans do not only rest during sleep. They travel, they create, they meet things we do not understand. I have touched one dream. I do not wish to touch another. He paused before sending the final line. They may not be fully awake when they are awake. The council did not reply at once. They needed time to study his reports, to run tests, to decide if Earth should be studied longer or avoided. Back on Earth, Virex was taken to a new meeting. This time, it was not with scientists or teachers. It was with people who made decisions, government officials. They sat around a large table. They spoke slowly. They smiled too much. He listened as they talked about trade, peace, friendship between species. But all he could think about was how many of them would fall unconscious before the meeting ended. And then, it happened. One of the men at the table, a man named Bill Green, let out a loud yawn. His head tilted slightly. His eyes became glassy. Before anyone could stop him, he leaned forward and fell asleep. The room went quiet. No one seemed surprised. Oh, Bill's just tired, one woman said with a small laugh. Happens all the time, another added. They kept talking like nothing was wrong. Virex stared at the sleeping man in front of others, in a room full of strangers. He was not hiding. He was not afraid. He simply gave up. Virex felt cold inside. These beings did not fear weakness. They wore it like armor, and maybe that made them stronger than anything he had ever known. Virex sat at the long table watching the sleeping man. Bill Green was still leaning forward, his head resting on his arms. Soft snoring came from him. No one tried to wake him. No one looked worried. Shouldn't someone do something? Virex asked, his voice low. Linda Harper smiled gently. He's fine. Just needs a few minutes. Minutes? Virex said. But what if danger comes? What if he is attacked? Carl Dawson chuckled. Nah, we're all friends here. Besides, it happens. Everyone sleeps sometimes. Virex could not understand how they were so calm. To him, this was madness. Weakness on a scale he had never seen before. And yet, the humans did not seem afraid. Later that day, he was taken to a small building where many humans slept at once. It was called a hotel. Linda showed him a room with 2 beds. She explained that people often shared rooms while traveling. "You mean, you sleep next to others?" Virex asked. "Yeah," she said, "sometimes even holding hands." He stared at her. "You trust them so much?" he whispered. "Most of the time," she said with a smile. He watched as she got ready for bed. She turned off the lights. She lay down. Then, like before, she closed her eyes and let go. She became silent. He stood in the dark room, listening to her breath. And then, softly, she spoke. Not awake, not moving, just a whisper in her sleep. "Don't be scared." Virex stepped back. How did she know? The next morning, he asked her about it. "Oh," she said, sipping coffee. "I probably dreamed it." "Dreamed?" he asked. "Yeah, happens all the time. Sometimes I say things while I'm asleep. My brother used to talk about spaceships and monsters." Virex looked at her. "Do all humans speak during sleep?" "Most of us," she said. "Why?" He did not answer. If they could speak while unconscious, then maybe they were never truly gone. Maybe part of them was always awake. Watching. Thinking. Waiting, he sent another message to the Zalari High Council. They are not weak. They are not blind. They give up control, but they do not lose it. He paused. Perhaps sleep is not rest. Perhaps it is training. He pressed send, and for the first time since arriving, Virex felt something new, respect. Virex stood at the edge of the landing field, looking up at his ship. It gleamed under the morning sun. Soon, he would leave Earth behind. But his mind was still full of questions. He had come to learn about humans. Instead, he had found something strange and powerful, something no other species had. They gave up control every night. They trusted the world enough to fall into darkness, hoping to wake again, and yet they survived. Not just survived. They built cities, told stories, made music, and dreamed of stars. He turned as Linda Harper and Carl Dawson walked toward him. "You ready to go?" Carl asked. Virex nodded slowly. "Will you tell others about us?" Linda asked. He looked at her. She smiled like she already knew the answer. "Yes," he said, "but not what you think." He sent one last message to the Zalari High Council. His voice was calm but filled with meaning. Earth is not safe, not in the way we understand safety. Humans are not weak. They are different. They live in a world where they must shut down every day and hope they wake again. He paused. They do not fear death. They face it willingly. And somehow, they always return. The reply came quickly. "What is your final report?" Virex closed his eyes for a moment. "Do not make contact with humans until we understand them better. They are not like us. They are not like anyone." Then he added softly, "They may be the strongest beings we have ever met." Back on the ground, Linda handed him a small box. "A gift," she said. He opened it. Inside was a soft pillow and a note. "For when you want to try sleeping someday," it read. He looked at her. "You think I should try it?" She laughed. "Maybe not today." He stepped onto the ramp of his ship. The door began to close. As the ship lifted off, he watched the tiny figures below grow smaller. Humans. Mad. Brave. Alive. He did not know what they truly were, but he hoped no one ever made them angry, because if they could survive their own nightly surrender, what else were they capable of? And for the first time in his life, Virex felt a little afraid of what might wake up one day.